Welcome to the most professional chess rating live. Today we start at 10:40. Let's see which pieces do we get today. We get white. We open up with d4, of course. Well, there we go. c6. I was about to say, will he... It's d5, so which variation do I want to play? Most of my life, I was playing knight c3. Lately, I have been going for e5. Let's see. So I would play e5 on my main account, so I'll play e5 here as well. After bishop g4, bishop f5, I can play g4, tile variation, or h4. Now I'll go for g4. Best variation by far, no? I'm surprised that it's not called tile attack. Basically there is bishop g6 or bishop e4. After bishop e4 I play f3. So let's see. Actually, he can also play something like bishop c8. Yeah, that is a playable move. He's going for bishop e4. Let's play f3. Bishop g6 is not a move, after which we are gonna play h4, threatening h5, trap the bishop. He can choose between h6 or h5. He goes for h5. So one thing that you don't want to do is take on h5. What do I want to do? I'll go for... Wait, if I go for g5, he can play bishop f5, right? But if I go with the idea of knight h3 here, he can take it and take it here. Interesting. I'll just go for g5. I'm not the best guy when it comes to theory in this particular variation. But f6 seems... It seems wrong. I'll play bishop e3. So f6 is only a good move if I trade all of my pawns there, right? Or if I even trade once, then he forces another trade. And if I don't trade, well, then it just leaves its weakness. e6, he blundered his bishop on g6, unfortunately. Now, people do that. What can I say? This was probably pretty short, so I'll play another game. Yesterday I was playing against a 2300 rated opponent, and he blundered his bishop on move 12. So it happens even to 2000 rated players. Knight c6. Is this some attempt to go for Sveshnikov? No. I never saw this variation of Sicilian. e6. To me that looks wrong, because I can play d5, attacking this knight, and this knight has no good square to jump to, so without any thinking I just go d5, because e5 is protected, and d4 he just loses. A pawn, 97, yeah, that is reasonable. And now if he gets to play d6, no, but 97 is not reasonable, by the way, guys. I play d6, he moves his knight, and then I give a check with queen, me too. He has to protect his king somehow. Yeah, that is a mistake. Also, this was pattern recognition, because I remember not seeing this tactic in one of my games, and then, well, after checking analysis, I remember this. I learned that from that analysis, and now I get a free piece there. I will just continue with my development. Knight c3. There is nothing much to worry about here. I'll play bishop g5, pinning this knight. And the main idea now would be trade pieces, because I'm a piece up after all. And again to the endgame. Bishop g5 does pose some problems for him. Mainly, it means that knight, so queen cannot move that easily. Rook e8. Now, we got to be careful about this. Knight moves, then queen is basically hanging, so just castle. Get away from the threat and develop at the same time, which is quite great. And here I just need to finish my development. So that will require me to move my queen. Here I can even take the knight on e7 or play bishop e3. And which one will I do? Let me see, if I play bishop, something like bishop e3, he can protect with b6, then develop his bishop on b7 and later attack my bishop with knight f5. And bishop would be doing basically nothing. Therefore, I'll just trade pieces, trade my bishop, and that will be it. Here, I need a good square for a queen, no? I feel like c4 or d2. I'll play queen d2 to get even more pressure on this pawn, so now he cannot play d6 to develop this bishop. And one other thing is, now my queen is not on c4, so I can develop my bishop on c4 if I want. Yeah. Next part of the plan is develop the bishop and get this rook to the game. A knight d5 is interesting, but I'll just develop my bishop first. Bishop e7, attacking my knight. I'm not really scared about that. The thing that I want to play is knight d5. Great square for a knight, and if we exchange like this, that's great for me. I'm getting closer and closer to the end game, and as well my pieces are getting more and more active. f7 and d7 are under attack. Now the only moves that he has is knight f4, which I missed, but it's hard to take this pawn. You open up g file. a6, his idea is to play b5 and trap my bishop, right? So I can play a couple of things. Let me see. I'll just develop my rook. In case of b5, I'm going to play bishop d3. Here I have some choices. I can even play knight d1 and keep the pressure here. And keep the pressure here as well. Or I can take on f7 immediately, which is probably the best move. Let's check. It's king h7 probably. And then I take the rook. Let me see. How do I want to take my rook? Probably like this. Here my main threat is bishop d3 pinning this knight. And rook e1 was great because it stops queen e8. So defending your knight with queen is not possible anymore. Well, you could play queen f6. Yeah. Queen f6 definitely works. My opponent plays d6. So I'll just go with bishop d3, a really nice move. You go back with the bishop, but you attack the knight. And here we have this tactic. So we exchange our queens, and here we have knight h4. Right? Remember, this knight is pinned. So we even win this knight as well. Here we can do a couple of things. We can simply take this and exchange everything. Well, he's not forced to take with rook. So what I'm thinking about is playing a rook e7, check. He has to play king h8 or rook g7. Either way, it's great for me. So if he plays king h8, I get to exchange everything here. Rook g7. I still get knight. And now I also exchange the rooks, right? So I take with knight and I don't have to worry about these pawns because I can just play bishop f5. I have my knight protected. But there you go. So let me see which game I will do analysis of. Okay, here we are. I decided to do analysis of both games. We're going to do analysis of first game. Mainly because I played it very poorly. My theory understanding of this line is very low. So basically I believe that h4 is style variation. Yes, that is correct. I played g4, which is not losing by any means. f3, h4 is not a move here. Main move is e6, but this variation is not known as much. Therefore, g5 was also a mistake by me. And after f6, the best move was e6. Okay, so I just wanted to show you this, that yeah, don't play Caro-Kann like this. I'll make sure to learn to prepare my Caro-Kann lines better for the next game. Let's have a talk about the second game. Here I believe that my theory was better and that d5 is the strongest. So e6 is a mistake. You punish it by playing d5. Therefore, after okay, so taking on d5 is even bigger mistake, and knight e7 is just losing. Remember, you punish this with d6 because now king is stuck. So you just give a check with queen and you win a piece. How do you convert this game from this point on? Is you develop your pieces, you look for threats that your opponent makes and just sidestep those, like we did here with castling. And after h6, I took here because I didn't like the position after bishop e3. I decided to play queen d2 to stop knight f4 and to have c4 square for my bishop. Here I developed all of my pieces except the rook, but here I saw that knight d5 would be really nice. At least from my perspective. Engine may not agree with me. Why do I think so? Because it's really hard to find a square for this rook. Basically, the only safe square would be e8. Engine recommends playing rook e4, but you have to be either 2800 rated or crazy to play rook e4 in this position. That would never cross my mind, honestly. So he took my knight. I managed to exchange one more pair of pieces. I centralize my queen and I have this battery attacking f7. My opponent doesn't really have a concrete plan in this position, which I don't blame him. He basically cannot attack me in any way. And from this point on, we develop all of our pieces and we are in complete control of this game. I bring my last piece to the game. We exchange his rook and we have this intermezzo of queen f7. After king h7, we take the rook and we just line up our bishop with his knight and his king. This is just tactical awareness to see that king and knight are on the same diagonal. So we bring our bishop back to d3. After that, we just use that to win this knight. Right? After rook g8, you don't have to play rook e7 just like I did in the game. You can simply take on g6 and you would be fine. For example, knight g6 leaves you with two pieces up, and if he wants to trade rook for two pieces, well, you end up with rook up. Therefore, I give check with my rook. What is the point of that? That allows me to simplify the game even further, because we can see that if he goes for king h8 and he doesn't want to exchange the rooks, I get knight g6 again, taking his knight, and this is basically a checkmate. He has to sacrifice his rook, and I'm up rook and a bishop in this situation. So he goes for rook block. I just exchange my rook and take my free piece as well. I'm up two pieces in the endgame, and this should be really easy to convert. You make sure that everything is protected, and you can just walk your king in. You can even sacrifice your piece for two pawns or something. Understood? And that is how you win your games at your real. Now get out of here.